Well, okay. Kind of messed that one up. I'm a little bit rusty. It's been a couple
Woo!
weeks. All right. Welcome to the Tour Junkies
Oh,
podcast.
I just drank out of the wrong. Oh my gosh! I was sitting there and I drank out of my reserve vodka cup
Uh-huh.
and not the actual drink cup.
Oh,
So as you just did that, I just drank a straight shot of vodka as we started this,
fantastic.
and so we're getting off to a great start after being off last week.
Yeah, off last week. I guess, forgot what buttons I'm supposed to hit. So that was a weird intro. But normally we're a little sharper than that, just by a little bit. But this is you have stumbled onto the Tour Junkies podcast. We're here to talk about all things PGA Tour golf all over the world. Right now we are heading to lovely South Korea, where you better be careful because you step your foot up in North Korea, you might not return. So we are here. We're excited. It's a good show. We did miss last week. We apologize to everyone. Real life duty called for both of us. And Pat, I believe for the first time in 4 years, we did not put out a show when there was a PGA Tour event going on. I believe that's correct.
Really that long?
Well, yeah, we've been doing it 4 years, and so
No, I know that, but I mean, I can't believe I thought we missed a show before.
I don't. Not that I can remember. I mean, I've missed a show. You've missed a show. We've had guests on to replace each other, but yeah, pretty unusual scenario for us. So thank you guys for hanging with us. We've got a great show planned tonight. A lot of good stuff at the end as well. We want to tell you about some exciting stuff that's happening. We're going to have a good time on tonight's podcast. We've got a good event with a really strong field tonight. Before we get into it, Pat, I would love to know, I'm assuming the podcast juice has something to do with vodka because you said you just accidentally drank the reserve vodka cup.
Yeah, well, right now it's just a little Tito's with just a splash of some lemon juice in there, but in club. But it's going to change.
Okay.
I've got to change to a transfusion here in a minute.
Well,
So.
this is interesting. A lot of people don't know this, but me and Pat don't really plan a lot on the podcast. We don't talk about our picks beforehand or the research. We also don't share our podcast juice. And I got to say, this is kind of weird, but this is my podcast juice tonight. I am drinking a red wine, and let me just tell you, I mean, how many times have I ever drank red wine on the podcast?
It's very rare. Now, if I had a glass only that high, it would be gone within like 15 minutes of the podcast.
Well,
I'm hoping you have the bottle next to you because
lucky
otherwise
for me,
you're going to be leaving a lot.
We talk about no free ads on the podcast. We're going to get to the picks in just a second. But we talk about no free ads on the podcast. Well, I am very recently obsessed with this new bottle of wine that I found, and I'm about to give it a free ad. And it is a red blend called Cooper and Thief. It's a red wine blend, but they age it in a whiskey barrel. And I am rather fond of the flavor. Aged in 3 months bourbon whiskey barrels. Dark and jammy with some toasty vanilla notes. And let me just tell you, it is one of my absolute new favorites. If anybody has any connections with Cooper and Thief and they want to send me a box of wine in exchange for this fantastic review we just gave and an ad, I would love it. So, cheers.
Can you imagine if that was like the name of a law firm or something? It probably would not be a good name.
Thief, probably not. Yeah, not ideal. Hey Pat, I'm excited, man. We got a good event, a strong field here. No cut event, but a strong field. So why don't we get right into the course breakdown? Then we're going to give you the picks, the strategy that we like, key stats, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the old CJ Cup.
Yeah, so CJ Cup this week. CJ Cup at 9 bridges, although there's not 9. Everybody's going to say that anyway, but if you listen to a lot of pods, they're going to talk about that. So, yes, we're at the club at 9 bridges on Jeju. Is that how you say it? I don't know how you say it.
I'm sure
Jeju Island, South Korea, par 72. Playing just under 7,200 yards. You got bent grass greens this week, bent fairways. The rough is actually bent overseeded with Kentucky bluegrass. One thing to note is they are at some altitude this week. This is a kind of a resort area. I wouldn't say high in the mountains, but they are at 3,500 square feet. It is very exposed to the wind, especially on the back.
They're at 3,500 square feet?
I mean, 3,500 feet.
Okay.
Square feet. 3,500 square feet. They're in the 3,500 square feet area.
They're at my house playing golf.
They're at your house. Wow, you have a big house. I didn't know your house was that big.
Yeah, the bonus room helps out.
Anyway, very exposed to the wind in a lot of areas, which is what really is the main defense on this course. They played here twice. They played here in 2017 where JT won, and it was the fourth most difficult course on tour that year because of a lot of wind. And then in 2018, when Brooks just bombed it around this place, it was 31st as far as most difficult. So played much easier that year. And I can tell you right now, as far as what I'm seeing with the wind, not a whole lot. I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe 10 to 12 sustained on Thursday and Friday, but then settles down a lot over the weekend. So you got two very distinct nines here. You've got the Creek and the Highland courses. So the Creek is more tree lined, and then they kind of go out into the open when they get into the Highland part, which is the back nine, which is where a lot of that wind can come into play. You've got two drivable par fours here this week, 8 and number 14, and then all 4 par fives are under 600 yards. All of this tells me that with no wind or very little wind in the forecast, bombers are really going to have an advantage on this course. I think, you do want to look at those that putt well on bent grass greens, but these guys that bomb it are going to have a lot better chance to score on the par fives, also to have on these 2 drivable par fours, they're going to have a better shot there. So I looked at driving distance. I looked at strokes gained off the tee, also a little putting on bent. I think will be important. But again, this is we'll see. I think it's going to be a scoring fest this week. I think opportunities gained, which is fantasy national stat that we like to look at, will be important as well. Those guys are giving themselves a shot at scoring. So there you go. That's the quick rundown for me for the CJ Cup at Nine Bridges. I can always tell when you're probably getting a comment on this YouTube channel because you start chuckling in the middle of me talking.
Shocker that it's actually not about you, and it looks like a new face in the YouTube channel brought out a great comment. South Korea, it's basically like Houston but with worse tacos. And having just been to Houston a week and a half ago, I think he's pretty much right. I think that's pretty much spot on. Yeah, Pat, I think that was a good breakdown, man. I mean, you're right. The wind is the key here, 100% in how this golf course is going to play. You got some pretty generous fairways, as you mentioned, the bent grass greens. I think it's a bomber's paradise, a ball striker's paradise for sure. Not that a short hitter can't play well. I believe last year you had Chez Reavie was like a first-round leader, but when you look at the leaderboard, you look at who really goes low here. It's definitely your longer hitters. As you've got those drivable fours and the par fives that you mentioned. So I'm with you in terms of stats. I mean, strokes gained off the tee, looking at bombers, looking at all your approach and iron play, from opportunities gained, approach, greens and regulation, all that kind of stuff. I did look at last 100 rounds putting on bent grass, who's comfortable putting on that bent grass surface. But honestly, man, I think we got to talk about this a little bit with strategy. You've got the people that listen to us for DFS and playing on DraftKings and FanDuel, and then you've got the people that listen to us that are betting. And there's some that are both, right? And I think this is an event where you have to attack it in different ways. Because of the field here, there's 78 players. 60 of them are the top 60 in the FedEx Cup, and then you have 18 exemptions. A lot of those exemptions handed out to, Korean players, to other Asian players. So here's the deal. It's a strong field, but the bottom of that field is quite weak. I'm not going to get real cute. You're going to find that. I'm not going to get real cute trying to give you some crazy stat on some random, guy that won an event on the Asian Tour a couple years ago and he may pop. I just don't think that that's the way to go about doing this. Not unless you want to just...
I think strong field is a little bit of a stretch. And it's strong at the top, you may say, but overall,
this is a pretty strong field, dude. If you look at this field, I think this is the top 60 are strong, like the top 50 are strong.
I guess so.
So you're very much eliminating a third of the field to me here. So for DFS purposes, that means that most of this is going to be, if you're playing in tournaments, most of it is about ownership. More so than, we talk about GPP and tournament ownership every week, no matter what. By the way, in case we've got any newbies on here, we mean how popular is that player, right? When we say ownership, when we say GPPs, guaranteed prize pool tournaments, bigger tournaments on DraftKings, where only your top 20% or so are actually getting paid out. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about how highly owned, how popular are these players. And you need guys who are not as popular to pop. You don't need all of your guys to not be as popular, but you do need a couple of them, and you do need them to pop. So I think ownership leverage is going to be most important for tournament plays, and I'm going to weigh stats a lot less for that reason when I'm looking at DraftKings. I just don't think that you have to get bogged down in the stats when it comes to DraftKings, when it comes to that. Everybody's going to be guaranteed 4 rounds, right? We talked about it, no cut. So unless they withdraw, something happens, you're going to get your 4 rounds in. You need guys that can score, make birdies, and I just think ownership is going to be key. But in the betting ranks, and I guess we can talk about this as we go, but I mean, yes, JT and Brooks are your 2 winners. Those were obviously favorites, heavy favorites going into both of those years. But when I look at this card and the options available, I mean, you know me, I don't love to bet the short numbers anyway in golf because anybody can pop at any given week. But there's a lot of names down here who are proven contenders on the PGA Tour in strong fields that are at triple-digit numbers or very, very deep numbers in a field where there's only probably about 50 people in here that could actually win. And so you've got 50 guys who can actually win, and I'm looking at, let's just, and we'll get to them, but let's just say we're talking about Harold Varner III. He's 110 to 1. So in terms of strategy for betting, for me this week, I'm going to lean a lot towards some of those names down there that I think are tremendous value. And my prediction is we're not going to see one of these, short, super short, top 3 guys, top 4 guys win this event. I just don't think that happens for the 3rd year in a row. So that's my take on the betting piece. We'll get into it. But all that to say, I don't think listeners should be weighing stats super heavy this week, even if all you're doing is playing DFS. It's ownership, it's leverage, and even in cash, since you have everybody making the cut, you've got to get you still got to have a little bit of leverage even in a cash contest. Any other thoughts on that? Or are you ready to get into the picks?
No, I'm with you. I think you're completely right, and let's get into some picks.
Alrighty, I'm excited, man. Let's get right to this. At the top tier, we're going to go 9K and above. We're going to give you 3 tournament plays, a cash lock, and a fade. I'm actually going to start at the bottom of the 9K range and work my way up. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Tonight.
I like that.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Sergio Garcia at $9,100. I like old Sergio playing really, really well over in old Europe. He's checking the box and strokes gained off the tee. He putts well on bent grass surfaces as well. Now, he's never played here before. Sergio has never played the old CJ Cup, but just recently he won the KLM Open in early September. He finished 7th at the Open de España, 23rd at the European Masters, 7th at the Andalusia Masters. So in 4 of his last events on the European Tour, a 7th, a win, a 23rd, and a 7th. So Sergio is playing pretty well right now, and I don't think he's going to be all that popular. 9,100 to get a price savings. So I like old Serge. And he's got better odds. When I looked at the odds, he actually got better odds than Jason Day and Mark Leishman, 2 players priced above him. So I think you get a little discount there. It's hard to pass up on Sung Jae. If I'm working up at $9,700, now Sung Jae is going to be a chalky play for sure. Unless maybe we get one of these things where everybody says that, and then everybody ends up fading him because they think he's chalk, and then he ends up not being so much chalk. But Sung Jae checks every box. Off the tee, he's top 10 in this field. Strokes gained putting, he's top 20 on bent grass. Approach shots, he's top 10 in this field as well. Recent results have been phenomenal. He's gained 18 strokes in his last 4 events, and he did play here for the first time last season, finished 41st. Hometown event for him. By the way, he also just won an event on the Korean PGA, I believe it is. He won the Genesis Championship, not the Genesis Open that we're used to, but the Genesis Championship. He won by 2 shots just this past weekend. So he's over there. He's geared up. It's a great course. Jack Nicklaus designed, beautiful course that he won on. The competition level that he played on, based on the World Golf Rankings website, was equivalent to the Puerto Rico Open on the PGA Tour. So it's not like he won hands down, but I mean, I believe that's the only win Tony Finau has in his career. So, I mean, it's still winning
Yeah,
a golf
you're right.
tournament, and it's winning in Korea. So, I just think it's really tough to avoid Sungjae at 97. Like I'll go ahead and I guess I'll skip to a fade because I don't know how you play unless again this comes down to ownership. How do you play Victor Hovland at 10-5 and not play Sungjae Im at 9,700? Like, and I don't even understand that from an odds perspective. Victor Hovland is priced at shorter odds than Sungjae Im, and I just think that's an egregious error. I mean, I'm a Victor Hovland fan. I think he's just a gem of a human being, and I can't wait for him to win. I think he's super talented, but to have him at shorter odds than Sungjae Im is just ridiculous to me. So actually, Victor Hovland is my fade. I'm not going to play Victor Hovland at 10-5. I mean, I think you're just as well off playing Matt Wolff if you want to play one of the young studs, who's much cheaper. And yeah, I'm out on Hovland. And then in tournaments, I'm going to play Justin Thomas. Man, I love JT. He loves the Asian swing. You mentioned he's a winner here. In the first event, he finished 4th at the Safeway. Obviously, JT checks every single box. So I'm going JT, M, and Garcia in tournaments. Hovland is my fade, and my cash play, which I would play absolutely anywhere, is Rafa. I mean, you can't argue with Rafa's form right now on the European Tour. He has been absolutely lights out on the European Tour, just delivering blows. He had that baby, and now just baby swag all over the place. He's played here both years, finished 11th the first year, 3rd just this past year here at the CJ Cup. But listen to his last few finishes on the European Tour. Finished runner-up at the Open de España, 61st at the Alfred Dunhill, not great, but he really just had one bad round. 6th at the BMW. I mean, the guy's just killing it. So I'm going with Rafa and cash. That's my picks. I'm going to drink my wine.
Wow. So we're going to start off, and now it is a short field event, so that is, you tend to get either a lot of disagreement, I guess, or more agreement. And we just across the board here are pretty much in total agreement. I do have a couple guys that I'm going to mention, but I'm going to go ahead and say Sergio was one of my GPP plays. Okay. I was with you on that. I do like in GPPs, but I had him as my cash play because I think he's just solid right there. Yeah. I don't mind, the price is good, whatever. I mean, I don't know. You can play him in cash or GPPs, so I'm okay with that. And I do like RCB there as well, but he just wasn't a guy I wrote down. My fade was Hovland. I was the same with you. I just don't think you pay up for a guy like that. I'd rather play Matthew Wolff, who I may mention later, but I don't like that price at all. So I'm totally with you on Hovland. The two guys though that I'm on this week that you did not mention, I'm back on Brooks. Look, I know that people will. We talk about ownership, and he's coming off a miscut in Las Vegas. He is the defending champ, which people tend to fade the defending champ. But look, when it comes to this event, he's obviously won here before. He checks all the boxes as far as stats are concerned.
Boxes. He checks all the boxes.
I mean, opportunities gained, driving distance, strokes gained approach, par 5 scoring, everything. I like Brooks Koepka at 11-4, and I think you might get him in a little bit lower ownership based off of the injury he talked about that he had some surgery on over the offseason, the miscut back in Las Vegas, and, again, people tending to fade the previous champ. So I like him at 11-4. I like Jason Day at 9,500. He's got a good history here. You look at the last 2 times he's played here. He had a T5 last year. He was T11 in 2017. We haven't seen him in a little bit, but he's another guy also checking boxes off the tee, driving distance, par 5 scoring. I like that as well. Look, I think he's going to be another low-owned play right here that's worth a shot for GPPs. So there you go. Those are really the only 2 different guys that I have that you didn't mention were Day and Koepka.
Yeah, man, I don't know about that Day call. I mean, I don't know. We just haven't seen him in forever. I don't know.
So again, that's another reason you're going to get lower ownership. If you're going to talk about ownership being key, then you need
that.
Then you got to find some.
That
reasons
means I can
that
still disagree. That means I can still disagree with somebody.
No, I'm not saying you can't disagree. I'm fine with you disagreeing with Jason Day. Look, Day is hit or miss a lot, but he's still a solid player. He's got good history here. He's checking boxes, and he's coming in. So what? We haven't seen him in a little bit. Maybe he's practiced a little. He's better now.
I mean, do you think though that like, I don't know. I mean, I know we. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into that. That's the weeds. All right, why don't you start the 8K range? 2 tournament plays, a cash lock, and a fade.
All right, so I'm going to start off with a guy I just mentioned. I think if you're going to play one of these young guns, you play Matthew Wolff at 8,800. I think he can bomb this course all over the place. You know, definitely he's checking boxes and driving distance off the tee, par 5 scoring, opportunities gained, strokes gained approach across the board. I love some Matthew Wolff. I don't know where the ownership's going to be. We'll see. But when you look at all the stats that I do
it'll
like,
be up there.
yeah, it may be up there. But
I love that. I love that quote, by the way. I'm going to write that down. That's some hard hitting analysis. He's going to bomb this course all over the place. That's brilliant.
Yes, I appreciate that you like that. Another guy that I do like is Danny Willett at 8,900. He's a guy that's been playing really good on the European tour lately and has come around. And then even like you look at his game, like everybody was kind of off of him the last few years, but you look at last year. I mean, he was T23 here, so he does have a good finish on this course. You know, again, like I said, the form is good. I just like Danny Willett. I think he's back. He's back. So
I'm glad you learned to say his name right after 4 years.
I don't know why it is. I don't know why it is on this show. Like literally, I will read his name constantly when I'm going over my research the correct way. But then when I get on this show, I say it wrong. I don't know what it is.
You do still say Matthew Wolff, which I love. Wolff. So you're down with Wolff and Willett.
Wolff and Willett. Cash, I'm going to go with my boy Neiman. I think he's just been playing too well. I know he missed his. I think he missed his last cut. I can't remember. Yeah, he did. Yeah, but you know, a win back at the Greenbrier. Just been playing incredible golf. So I do like him in cash. My fade's going to be Kevin Na at 8,600. I think he's going to be a guy that a lot of people want to play. You know, I mean, I know he's been playing great. He's coming off of a win and all that kind of stuff. The price looks really good at 8,600. When you're looking at this field, a guy that's in the form that he's in, I just think he's going to be way over-owned. And, you know, I'm a big Kevin Na fan, by the way. I freaking love Kevin.
I'm
a huge fan. But I think the ownership's going to be too high this week, so I'm just going to fade that ownership. So there you go. That's the fade.
Well, let's talk about Kevin Na for a second. Brief timeout here. I like Kevin Na too a lot, and he did just win. The Shriners in Vegas, one of his home events here. But he's his best finish here in the 2 attempts is 47th. Not great. He does check the putting box, but that's about it. He putts well on bent grass. He doesn't gain strokes off the tee. His irons, even in the last 12 rounds, where 4 of those were at Vegas, were not tremendous. If you remember, what did he do well at Vegas? Well, he set the PGA Tour record for feet of putts made in a tournament with like 566. The guy literally could not miss a putt. So I don't know that just based on that alone, he's worth the play. However, if you follow golf close enough, you may have heard a little bit about the story with Kevin Na and what's going on with him, and maybe the reason behind his post win interview on the course when he won a couple weeks ago, that he gave a message to Korea in his language in Korean, and basically then opened up about it to Golf Digest, a few writers, and we're not really going to get into it. You can go and read it, check it out. But there's a lot of people in South Korea that are not fans of Kevin Na. They're not fans of him for one reason or another. He's got there was a marital issue that seems like it was not really anything egregious that he did on his part,
yeah,
but kind of a cultural thing that didn't really sit well with some people over there. And it was an interesting situation where it sounds like he was being taken advantage of in terms of him being an athlete, being famous, having money, and it's just a really crappy situation. It's kind of a sorry PR situation for him. And I read the article on Golf Digest, Pat, and he mentioned that it's hard for him to go back there, that he loves it, but it's hard for him to go back there and play. And in fact, one of the years he was there, someone involved in this legal dispute that he's in was there picketing with a sign at the tournament entrance. It just made a big deal about it. And it's kind of a weird situation, but even he in this interview said, I don't have the quote in front of me, but it was something like, we're going to go and play, but we'll see how well it's received. Like we'll see how well it goes. He didn't really sound like he had a whole lot of confidence in either, how he would play under those circumstances or how he'd be received. It sounds like there's a lot of stuff that just kind of sits on top of him when he plays in Korea, and it's kind of tough to play under. Vice versa, it's like the article talks about when he found the woman that he's married to now, and like how his whole life changed, how he got rid of the yips, like everything kind of cleaned up for him, and he just like everything was at peace within him, and now here he's playing some of the best golf of his career over the last 2 seasons. And it reminded me of our boy John Tillery when we interviewed John Tillery, and what did he say when we asked him, hey, if you were making picks week in and week out, what would you look at? Is it stats? Is it course form? Is it recent history? What is it? And he said it'd be strokes gained, home life. He's like, how are things at home? How are things with mama? How are things with the kids? How are things with the spouse? How are things with the girlfriend? How are things, whatever. And I think the Kevin Na story is an interesting illustration of just that. I mean, this guy was notoriously slow. He was he had some yips going on. He'd back off his shots, and then things kind of get settled, things kind of get right, and he finds his groove. But Korea, I believe, makes him uncomfortable. I mean, at least he said it himself. I mean, I would love to be wrong, and I hope he comes out there and plays really well this week, but it doesn't sound like even he's all that confident. What are your thoughts? Did that have anything to play into it?
No, I think it did a little bit, and I'll read the quote you're talking about. He said, "I love Korea and the fans over here. I'm playing the best golf of my life." So that tells you a lot, which he is, I think. This should be a great week, but we'll see how it goes. I just want the fans to get to know the real me. In some ways, I feel like I've been forced to hide. I'm not doing that anymore. So he's obviously confident coming over there. There is a little bit of me that makes me nervous, like when you talk about being forced to hide, like you're kind of like going out on the golf course. Are you looking around like wondering what you're distracted, and anytime you're distracted on the golf course, I don't care how good you're playing, there's gonna be some problems, and so that does worry me a little. And look, like I said, I'm such a huge fan of Kevin Na. We didn't get to talk about it last week because we didn't do the show, but his whole walking it in after on that, yeah. I mean, just like his confidence and the way he does it, I just think he's great. I'm a huge fan. I can't remember how I felt about him when he showed all the slow tendencies and backing off shots and yips and everything else, but he has definitely grown on me, and so but we'll see.
Yeah,
there you go.
Well,
give us your guys.
I had him written down as a fade as well, so I'm with you there. I wrote down Neiman as a pivot for Matthew Wolff because I feel like Wolff will be the chalky move here, and I like the Neiman play. As you mentioned, he won the Greenbrier, his first PGA Tour win. We all saw it coming. He's playing great, but then the next 2 events he kind of just craps down his leg a little bit, which I think is common for maybe a young first-time winner. I think you see it. But when I look at the stats that I did mention, he is killing it. In the last 12 rounds in this field, he's 15th in off the tee, strokes gained off the tee, 19th in strokes gained approach, 7th in opportunities gained, and 9th in greens in regulation. And he ranks 11th in this field in strokes gained putting on bent grass over the last 100 rounds. If you look at his last 8 events, 3 of them were on bent grass greens. He finished 1st, 30th, and 10th in those events. Joaquin Niemann obviously feels quite comfortable on bent grass. I do feel like he's going to be, a nice pivot. Played here last year, finished 36th. I like him a lot. And then I'm going down to the bottom. I'm going Dillon Fratelli, who has not played here before, but the South African bomber hits it a long way. He's played in windy conditions, so if the wind does change, he's got a proven track record in the wind, not only from playing on the European Tour a lot, but also played at University of Texas. Played some pretty windy conditions throughout that career. Finished 6th at the Sanderson Farms, 7th at the Safeway just a couple of weeks ago. Did miss the cut at the Shriners, but Dillon Fratelli hits the ball a long way, and his irons are spot on right now. So I think he could be maybe one of the lower owned guys in the 8K range. And actually, I'm gonna play him in cash. I like him in cash. You're gonna notice something with my cash plays. I am gonna go. I like a lot of the 9K. I want to fit in as many 9K studs that I like as possible. So therefore, I went bottom end on the 8K range, and I'm about to hit you with a bottom end play on the 7K range. That I will play in cash, in addition to one guy in the 6K that I really like for cash. So that's a cash strategy for me, and that's what you're gonna find.
Okay, nice.
All right, let's get to the 7K spots. Pat, I'm gonna start off with Corey Connors. Really tough to avoid Corey Connors. First in off the tee, 8th in approach, 11th in opportunities gained, 2nd in greens in regulation, 13th was the last event he played in. Finished 13th. Good Lord, at the Safeway. He's never played here before, but I love the scoring ability of Corey Connors. Arguably one of the best iron players on the PGA Tour. And 7,800. I will take it. Then I'm going to get to Ryan Palmer, who shot a 10 under 62 on the final round here last year and almost took it from old Brooks's clutches, but he held on. And Palmer, he held on to finish tied for third. Palmer, been playing okay. He's had a decent year. Finished 37th at the Shriners. That was his first event since the end of the previous season. But he checks the box off the tee, checks the box with his irons. It's all about the putter for Brian Palmer. And at $7,200, I will take my chances in a no-cut event where I think Bombers have a clear advantage. Another Texas guy, so if the wind kicks up, Ryan Palmer can play in the wind. And then I'm going to go with Harold Varner III. I mentioned him near the top. I mean, HV3 has felt very, very close lately. Top 20s at the Greenbrier and the Safeway. And, finished 26th here in his first attempt. But he checks the box off the tee. He checks the box in greens and regulation. He just feels so close. And for a $7,100 price tag, I love it. So those are 3 tournament plays. But I do have a cash play here that I'm comfortable in cash or as well. Honestly, he's probably better suited. Honestly, I should make HV3 my cash play because he could be chalky. So I'll say HV3 is my cash play. I'm going to play Luke List in tournaments. We are starting to see some form from old Luke List, which is great. It's refreshing. I like Luke a lot, but he's been pretty sorry lately. But he finished 13th at the Shriners and 28th just last week at the Houston. And in the last 12 rounds, so those 2 events and the 2 events prior where he missed the cut, 10th off the tee, 36th in approach, 10th in opportunities gained, and he's checking the box in greens in regulation. And he played here one time 2 years ago and finished 5th. So I think that's an interesting play. I like Luke List a lot at 7K. I'm going to fade Emiliano Grillo. He just can't put it all together. I don't see the high finishes for Grillo. The form's not there. He's not checking boxes. It's not. Actually, he is kind of checking boxes, but form is not there. History's not there. He just can't put it all together. And then I'm going to fade Sabatini. I think Sabatini at 7,900 is a wildly inflated price. He hasn't played here before. We haven't seen him play since he missed the cut at the Shriners. Before that, we just saw the end of his season, which was okay. But that's not a whole lot of to write home about here in terms of recent form. At 7,900, there's too much value around him to waste the money there. So that's it.
Wow. This goes by fast when you have a lot of players that are the same that you like and dislike. So I'm with you on Grillo. I don't like. He's a fade for me. It drives. I think What are you laughing at?
Josh Kistler.
Oh God. This guy's become like a third member of the podcast.
He said, "I think Pat has a smudge on his camera lens. Did he rub his hair before he adjusted the lens before his podcast? Olive oil and camera lenses don't mix." He knows how oily you are. You do kind of look grainy. I actually don't. Honestly, Josh, in his defense, I don't think it's oil from his skin. I actually think it's just his piss poor internet connection.
It probably is, but you would look grainy to me as well. So I mean, this stupid YouTube stuff, God, I hate it. Anyway, I'm with you on Grillo. I mean, the reason, he checks a lot of boxes. People are gonna, if you're looking at it, the stats, he's there. But I'm with you. I don't like the form, so I'm going to fade him. So I'm totally with you there. I can't believe you mentioned Ryan Palmer. For some reason, I thought I might be a little sneaky with that play
Huh?
at
No way.
7,200. So I do. Yeah, he was one of my tournament plays. The other tournament play and cash play was Luke List at 7,000. I
Huh.
love his history. I think he's got, he's obviously had a good finish here a couple years ago. He's in good form. So checks the box as far as stats are concerned. So I do like him at 7,000. So we can quickly move through that. Um, the
Okay.
other guy though that I did like here in this spot was Ian Poulter at 7,700. We've seen him play a lot of European events lately. He's made 6 or 7 cuts on that tour really over the last 5 or 6. So we've seen him play some recently, which is good. Um, you look at the course history here. He's finished, top 10 last year, T15 in 2017. So has obviously played this course well in both conditions, whether it was easy with the wind with no wind or hard with wind. So I do like that for Ian Poulter. So he will be one of my tournament plays. I actually faded Corey Connors. I think Corey Connors is going to get talked up
Ooh.
a ton this
Ooh.
week. I think a lot of people are going to be on him. He's got no history on this
Oh.
course. He definitely checks all the boxes. Look, if you're looking at stats other than par 5 scoring, where he's 49th in the field. And I'll throw this out, he's 60th in the field when it comes to strokes gained putting on bent, if you go back over 100 rounds. So he's not historically great on bent grass greens. So I don't like that about Corey Connors also. But look, I just think, in this range, yeah, you're going to have to plant your flag there. I'm with you, too, on Sabatini fade. But I think Corey Connors is going to garner a little bit of ownership. I think based off stats, everything else, everybody seems to be talking about him this fall. Like every week, I feel like that's all I'm hearing
He's
about.
a
And
stud.
I just don't know. I mean, I like
Oh.
him, but sorry Corey for listening
Yeah,
or
remember
not.
we met at Masters Week,
We
remember?
did meet him, yeah.
Lovely
That's right.
guy.
Anyway, he will be my fade this week. So we do have some disagreement there. Other than that, though, we have a lot of agreement.
Yeah.
And I
All
do
right.
like HV3. I like HV3, but I think he's going to be super, super high.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk 6K. I got 3 guys in the 6K I like. I'll start from let's see. I'll actually start from more the bottom tier. This guy, I mean, you guys know it is really hard. Actually, there's a couple guys in here that are very
If
hard
you
for.
mention Wyndham Clark, I'm just going to go ahead and shut this down.
Okay,
I don't.
okay,
I don't mention Wyndham Clark
okay, okay.
because I can't take
I
that because
promise
you
you,
can't take.
I promise you, I had him written down, and then I made myself scratch him out. So I was not going to mention him.
Okay.
I do have him written down, and I cannot say with 100% certainty that I will not be using all of my monies on him come Wednesday. Dude, that's something we should mention. If you're on the East Coast, this thing kicks off Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So remember, they're
Yes.
they're they're
Get
they're
the
they're on
good
tomorrow.
point. You're
That's
you're on fire, David. On
Yeah.
fire with your
So if I could
smartness
just get
tonight.
some tweets and some people reminding me on Wednesday around 5 p.m. Eastern to abort on Wyndham Clark, that would be nice. Otherwise, it will not be pretty. But I did write him down as soon as I saw the price. I was like, oh god, a $6,300 Wyndham Clark. And I can't you can't do it. But I am gonna go to another guy who I also really have a hard time quitting. However, this guy has won me money. He has won me money on DraftKings, and I hit him at 150 to 1 first round
I
leader bet
guess
last year. Yes, you can.
Matt Jones.
Nope.
Wait, let me get. Oh, Jonathan Vegas.
Johnny Vegas. Can't I mean
Yeah.
checks the boxes. He did play here in the first year, only finished 54th, whatever. Form's not great, but even with poor form of the last 3 rounds, third off the tee, checks the box in greens and regulation, opportunities gained. It's all about the putter. He's kind of like Ryan Palmer. He's just a tee to green stud. You just got to get him dropping a few putts, which we know can happen on any given week. I think Johnny Vegas' 6,400 is a tremendous value. He's a proven PGA Tour winner. He's competed in big fields. He's competed here before. I really like JV at 6,400. And then I'm going to jump up to 6,600. Keith Mitchell, really tough not to play. I feel like the first event of the fall swing that he played in, I guess it was the Shriners where he missed the cut. I mean, to me, listen, we know a little bit about Keith Mitchell. We kind of got some ties on him. Keith was having himself a damn good time in the offseason. Like, the Shriners in Vegas was like a vacation and, like, let me shake the rust off for Keith Mitchell. But don't forget, Keith Mitchell's a serious player. Won the Honda. in a great field, and has competed on big time events. He played here last year, finished 14th, and just checks the box off the tee and approach with iron play. I love him at 6,600. And then finally, my guy that I'm also going to play in cash. So when I said that you even in cash you would probably need a little bit of ownership leverage, here's your guy, Sung Kang.
Can I guess this one?
Oh,
okay,
sorry.
no, I was going to be wrong. I was going to be wrong on that one.
Sung K at 6,700. Last 3 events has been 29th at the Shriners most recently. Missed the cut at the Safeway, 47th at the Greenbrier. Has played here both years as I believe it's been a sponsors exemption. Well-known Korean player both years, but finished 29th last year was his best finish. Sung Kang absolutely bombs the golf ball, can score on par 5s, hits greens in regulation. He's a solid player there. I think those 3 guys are all very viable plays in the 6K range. I like them a lot, all of those guys. So Kang, Mitchell, and Vegas. That'll button it up for me.
All right. Well, I mentioned one of them. I had 2 here. One of them was Wyndham Clark. It's just hard to quit the guy. The guy's
Are you serious?
I like Wyndham Clark.
Come on, you just got on me for playing Wyndham Clark.
No, that's what I didn't want you to take him because I didn't want you to take one of my picks.
I thought you were saying because I always pick him and he always screws me. So you're gonna play Wyndham Clark?
I'm gonna play. I don't care.
Don't
if he's
play
coming
Wyndham
off
Clark.
I want to play him.
All right, hold on. Let's not play him in DFS. Let's pool our money together.
This is a good decision. This is probably a good decision.
Avoid him in DFS. We'll pool our money together on MyBookie and just bet him. Let's just bet him. Actually, let's bet him outright and let's bet him to like top 10. That way.
Okay. All right. I like that plan. That's a good plan. I have a backup plan.
He's 200 to 1 on MyBookie. 200 to 1 in a 78-man field where really there's 50 guys that could win this thing, and he's one of them.
God, that kid is so talented. Anyway, where I thought you were going to go when you went Sung Kang was actually in that same range as Adam Long at 6,700. I've had him in some lineups lately, and he's done well for me. You look at his last 3 events, T14 at the Greenbrier, T23 at Sanderson. Same thing, T23 at the Safeway. I just like how this kid is playing right now. You know, he kind of randomly got a win last year when nobody really knew about him. But he's a solid golfer. He's checking the box in par 5 scoring, also opportunities gained, strokes gained, approach. So I do like some Adam Long here at 6,700. That's probably it. I mean, I don't know. Vaughn Taylor does interest me a little bit. I know he's not the longest off the tee, but he is a great putter on bent grass greens. He's not short, but he's top 20 in the field in putting on bent grass. You get him at 6,500 in a 4-round event with no cut. I'm okay with a little Vaughn Taylor there at 6,500. So there you go.
Okay. I want to talk a little gambling real quick before we move on. So we're talking about, first of all, we had somebody ask about the chalk bomb. By the way, can I just say, like, people just don't listen to certain. I guess they tune out, which I'm guilty of.
I think there's issues,
and
there's attention span issues, or people aren't listening when they say they are, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah, and we also tweet about it, but we have tweeted that the chalk bomb email that is going out every Wednesday night. That if you're not subscribed to, I don't know what you're doing. Best piece of free content money can buy. The chalk bomb email for the swing season right here does actually not have the chalk bomb portion in the email. We know it's weird. We'll probably never do it like this again. We'll probably change the name of the swing season. Yeah. But it actually doesn't have that part. But that part is coming back in January. In the meantime, I'm giving you my DB's Big Balls betting card. That's up 60 units already through just 5 events. Okay, four events. Pat is bringing you a couple of segments that we'll talk about here. Well, we can talk about it. Pontifications with Pat. We've got Pat's sommelier write-up. We've got the 10 facts and all kind of great stuff, right? So, first of all, yes, the chalk bomb will be out tomorrow night before they tee off at 6, or Wednesday night before they tee off at 6 p.m., which, Pat, that means you're going to have to get me your stuff sooner. But
I feel like let me talk about that real quick. Just you and I talking here. I feel like I've been okay with the deadlines there.
yeah, you have.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, yes, it's going out. So just hold your horses on the actual chalk bomb piece. It's not there, but we've tweeted about it, we've talked about it, and then we got tweets every day. Hey, where's the chalk bomb? Hey, we had somebody unsubscribe last week because I signed up for the chalk bomb and now I'm not getting it. Well, can you wait for like 6 weeks and not unsubscribe? I don't even understand. It's just ridiculous. But I was gonna say, in that chalk bomb, stay tuned because I'm gonna have an interesting betting card that I'm writing up for this one. And I mean, I'm looking at some numbers right now. Our friends at mybookie.ag, which if you're not already betting on mybookie.ag, I wish you would. We have about 700, 1,000 of you jokers that are betting on mybookie.ag on our promo code and being hooked up and taken care of with a concierge service from mybookie.ag, and that's what you get. So go bet. That's where we bet. That's where everybody we work with bets. You can bet on literally anything, but the golf offerings are great. And by the way, there's some new golf offerings that are coming in January that are going to be freaking killer. Also, when you sign up, use promo code Tour Junkies, all one word, all lowercase, and will you at least deposit $50? Like that helps us out a little bit. Like that's your way to give back. Just freaking put $50 in there. Don't open it with zero. Okay, it's a little complex to make deposits, but it's not impossible. If Pat can do it a couple times, so can you guys. Pat's even made a couple withdrawals, won a couple big bets.
Hey, I've even used the Bitcoin stuff.
Yeah, it's easy. So just try it. mybookie.ag, promo code Tour Junkies. But when I'm looking at some of the numbers, I mean, there's some long odds fellas. I'm peeping right now.
Some long odds fellas.
Some long odds fellas.
I like that. We're coming up with some good terms tonight. Some long odds fellas.
Let me write that one down. I mean, HV3 at 110 to 1, you know, and I got Kistler over here chirping in my ear that he always falls for HV3 and doesn't ever get a return. Well, Kistler, maybe it's because you weren't listening to us last year when we hit HV3 on a first round leader bet at 100 to 1, sir.
Can I make a point here real quick though? Let me say something too about this. I like also if there's guys that I'm playing a lot as far as DraftKings are concerned or FanDuel or whatever you're on. I mean, if you just for some reason don't fall onto that guy in your lineups, bet him. Put him on a first round leader. Put him on a win bet. You know, at least because at least you'll be like, God, I really wanted to play Dillon Fratelli this week, but he never ended up in my DraftKings lineups. But I'm going to put a little small share on him for a bet. You know, do that. I think that's totally something you should look at doing.
Yep, 100% agree. But yeah, just off the rip, HV3 at 110 to 1, Palmer at 100 to 1. Your boy, probably the shortest I'm going is your boy Matt Wolff at 40 to 1. And there's a great example actually. So I mentioned I like Matt Wolff, but I think he's going to be popular in that range on DK. So I'll pivot to Neiman, who I think will be less popular. But I do like Matt's odds here. I like the number at 40 to 1 to win this event. So I'll probably put a unit on him, or maybe a halvesy on mybookie.ag, and then and then just probably not play him in DraftKings. So there's just a few. That HV3 Palmer, Matt Wolff, I could see being a few guys, but I'm liking this. I'm liking this card for MyBookie. I'm excited about it. And again, we're through 5 events. We're up 60 units thanks to 150 to 1 first round leader bet at the Greenbrier with Mr. Robbie Shelton. So check it out. Also, Pat, I mean, I got to say, compliments to you. We've had a lot of compliments on pontifications with Pat. I mean, it's been very good. In fact, people are demanding that it stay in the email in January. And I believe it should. I also vote that it should, and I hope you'll continue to grace us with the random synapses that fire off in that little tiny pea brain of yours.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Not the pea brain part, but I do think that it's some interesting stuff. It's just stuff that pops in my mind. I mean, literally, and it could be really crazy, or it could be something. Usually, it's not very serious. Sometimes I throw some serious stuff in there, but it's just look. My mind is weird. It is a freaking weird OCD mind, and so I think sometimes people need just some insight into the way it works. Maybe they're suffering with the same kind of weird mind that I have, and so that it's helping them in some way. Who knows? But I like writing it. It's fun, and I will continue to do it.
And I mean, for my betting card, I mean, I've written it now 4 times or 5 times. I can't remember. We hit the
You've
100.
always got someone. You've always
Yeah, I
got
was
someone
gonna
in the
say
hunt.
we hit the
Yeah.
150 to 1 week 1, which gave us, now we're playing with house money, right? And then every week after, we have had a sweat. I mean, last week it was Cam Tringali, who just came out Sunday flat AF. But we've always had some kind of sweat. So hop on and come sweat with us, and subscribe to the Chalk Bomb on tourjunkies.com. If you scroll to the bottom of the homepage on the website, bottom right, you can put in your email and that'll subscribe you. All right, Pat. I mean, Lanto Griffin won the Houston Open, which I'm excited about. Lanto seems like a cool guy. It was fun to watch. You have any thoughts on the Lanto victory?
I thought it was a good victory. I mean, that was tough at the end. He had that long, like 60-footer to two putt from.
That was pretty
and ended
ballsy.
up doing that. And we've been fans of his for a while. As a matter of fact, I'll just say I texted with somebody very familiar with Lanto before the week started. He was asking me about who I liked, and this is someone in the golf industry. And we didn't do the show, but I said, I haven't done a ton of research, but at this point, my favorite player for the week is Lanto, and it turned out pretty good. Unfortunately, I didn't throw a bet on that, so I don't even know why I'm saying this because it's just stupid that I didn't do that. But anyway, I've been a big fan of his. I think he's obviously played well this year, and it culminated in a win last week.
You know what? You said it because you need a little affirmation, man. Good for you. Way to go,
yes.
Pat. You know what?
Way to go.
Good for you, buddy.
I appreciate that. But yeah, I was glad to see him win. He's got a connection with our buddy Willie Wilcox.
He does.
Actually, Willie had him caddy for him a few times. Was it the Greenbrier where he had the big win? Not
sure.
Big.
Yeah, he didn't win, but yeah.
Didn't win. But he got him some money, and that helped Lanto. That helped him continue his tour career. So
got him some money.
I thought that was a little bit
good.
Interesting as well. Do you know what I want to talk about?
Would it be the perfect lineup?
No,
okay.
No. It's something
perfect lineup. Last week,
you talk about the perfect lineup, then I want to talk about something that I'm just
in DraftKings would have been Lanto Griffin, Mark Hubbard, Xing Zhang, Sepp Straka, Scott Harrington, Taylor Gooch. At 639 points, only using $43,800 worth of salary space. I mean, imagine that. Imagine that. That's something to learn. We're going to keep documenting that because
we've seen. What is the number on that? Because we've seen that be like leaving a lot of money on the table in the fall so far. It's the perfect lineup. It is. Yeah, we'll have to go back there and look.
So what are you tired of?
I had Griffin and Zhang in my lineups, but not the rest.
Yeah, I had Zhang and Tringali.
Here's what I'm tired of, okay? And it's just because I think it's become like people are going to be Democrats, people are going to be Republicans, they're going to be whatever, and it's just you're never changing anybody's mind. But it's the whole golfing thing. We even talked about it in the last
come on, Pat.
I'm done. I've been worn out. I'm tired of it. Like if that's what you want to do, then just freaking say golfing. I don't care. I think it's stupid, and I'm giving up though. I'm trying to convince people that they shouldn't say golfing because it's dumb. There's no reason to say it. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But all I keep hearing about is this people want to use it. I don't care. Whatever. I'm tired of it.
So I guess everybody knows that if you see a golfing rant on Twitter, it's from me because I hate it.
You hate it so much, and I get it. I'm totally with you, but I feel like I'm wasting my time trying to convince people that it's just dumb to say it.
Yeah, I just like proving that I'm right and fighting with people. And what's crazy is like of the two of us, the one in this relationship that gets worked up over the silliest stuff is not me. It's usually Pat.
It is usually.
But he has let this one go from his grip quite easily, and I just can't. It just ticks me off. I feel like I'm kind of done. I feel like I have a little rest. Like I feel like I have. Is restitution the right word?
Closure.
That's probably better. in that we surveyed our PGA Tour friends. You know, we talked about golfing, like saying the word golfing or saying let's go golf instead of let's go play golf. That golfing is not a verb. Right? We talked about that a couple episodes ago. I ranted about it in the putter throw, which is a new segment. But and then after that, we took a little survey and we texted nine. We got responses back from 9 PGA Tour pros that we're friends with, and 4 caddies that we're friends with. Well, this is how many responded. So of the 9 tour pros, 1 said that it was acceptable to say golfing or golf. Okay. And of the 4 caddies, 1 agreed that you could say golfing or golf, go golf, right? So I'm like, and a couple of the tour pros were adamant no's, like F no, or
like
hell
they
no.
said no, and then like you expect they're busy and they're not going to really text that much.
Yeah.
But then they just continue to text you.
Yeah,
on
they
why
double down on no. You don't
Yeah.
say that. And then our boy Will Wilcox says today, no, that chops, like basically hacks, say golfing and let's go golf together. Like, it's just not part of the vernacular. Like, if you say that, you're probably a freaking hack. And if you are a hack and you don't and you embrace that, which is fine. I mean, we're hacks too, but you know, we're trying to be something else. Just don't say it. It's like putting, you know what it's equivalent to? Actually, I just thought of it. It's like putting iron head covers on your irons. Like, what's the difference? Like, if you
I don't know.
if you want to put iron head covers on your irons, then you can. And why can't you? Other than the fact that it's dumb, and you literally never see a tour player ever do it. No, nobody ever that you've ever seen that is good at golf does that. And nobody that's good at golf says golfing or let's go golf, pal. They don't say that. They say let's go play golf. So anyway,
See, I could probably hang my hat more on the whole iron cover thing than I can on the golfing. And it's look, I'm not a fan of it, but it's just you have a lot of new people coming into the game and
yeah.
Whatever. Maybe they
that's what I love when the people on Twitter are like, "Oh, you guys are so pretentious that you can't." And I'm like, dude, we're like some of the least pretentious people that play on the golf course. Like, I'm listening to freaking aggressive, unedited hip hop right on the course, loud. I'm wearing some loud A clothes.
Yes.
Anybody
that says that you're like,
yeah, I hate
personally are.
I hate having to tuck my shirt in on a golf course if I don't want to. I hate the snooty country club vibe of a lot of play. I won't go. So you don't. But yeah, I mean, okay. So if I have one little pretentious vein flowing through my body, it's that I think you sound like an idiot if you say golfing, because I don't say basketballing. So I don't want to hear that. All right.
Okay. Let's we'll
the
go
putter throw is not a segment tonight. Pat, did you ever get your Warby Parker glasses? Did you get those?
I did. So they have this thing where you pick like 5 glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be sunglasses or it can be eyeglasses, you know. And you try it at home. It's free. They send them to you for free. They send you 5 in a box, and you try them on. And if you like one, you can buy it. If not, you just send them all back or whatever. You send them all back anyway, but you choose one, and then they'll send you a new pair. And
try them on, see how they look on your face.
Yeah, it's like it's perfect. It's really cool.
That's good.
My wife actually likes it more than I do. But
that's good. We're going to get to the chunk and run segment here in just a second, but before we wrap up with that, we do want to tell you guys about Warby Parker. We're sure you've probably heard of them before, but if you're in the market for some glasses, prescription, or maybe even non-prescription, maybe if you just want to be stylish, right? Like having iron covers, if you think that's stylish.
Yeah.
Or you want some sunglasses, and they also have prescription sunglasses. You can do that. If you think that your eyes are being destroyed by a blue light coming off your computer screen, and you want to get blue light filter lenses, you can do all of that through Warby Parker. That you take a quiz, you answer a few quick questions, they'll suggest some great looking glasses, get them fit to your face and style. Pat mentioned the free home try-on program. You can get 5 pairs, try them on for 5 days, no obligation to buy anything. Ships for free and includes the prepaid shipping label. Easy as that. If you go to warbyparker.com/tourjunkies, you can order your free home try-on. Take the quiz, find the pair. Glasses start at $95. That does include prescription lenses. And all your lenses include anti-glare and anti-scratch coating. and blue light filtering if you wish. If you have an iPhone 10 or later, make sure to download the app. And there, you can use new virtual reality, right? That's crazy. And you can try them on and look at yourself with the glasses on. It's pretty, see how they fit and all that fun stuff. Pretty cool stuff. And for every pair of glasses sold, they distribute a pair to someone in need, which is also pretty cool. And yeah, so head on over warbyparker.com/tourjunkies. That's WARBYPARKER. warbyparker.com/tourjunkies. All right.
Boom.
Chunk and run, Pat. Chunk and run. Yeah. We haven't had the chunk and run segment in a while. We've been bringing on some new segments.
Yeah,
we still have. Yeah. We still have some
back to it.
Yeah, we have some other new segments that we haven't rolled out yet that we're also excited to bring you, but we may hold those till January. But tonight we're going to get right back to the old chunk and run. If you're not familiar, the chunk is a question, anything related to golf that we want to talk about. It could be real golf, betting on golf, PGA Tour, whatever. The run is literally about anything else. So we take listener questions. Feel free to DM us those on Instagram or Twitter at tour_junkies, or you can email them to us, info@tourjunkies.com. We need some new chunk and run questions. Go ahead and send those our way. We'd appreciate it. Maybe we'll send you something. I'm not guaranteeing that we will, but maybe we will. So do that. Pat,
I'm looking over at the stash of Tour Junkies gear, thinking we don't have a whole lot, but yeah, we don't. Maybe we'll send you something.
We're about to refresh. We're about to refresh.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. In the chunk portion of tonight's show, I'm going to educate the golfer. All right, I'm going to educate you guys today because I got educated myself. I had a wedge fitting this past weekend, Pat. For the first time in my life, I had a fitting for wedges at my local club. And I've been playing golf now for about 15 years. And I have been fit for golf clubs before, irons and driver, fairway wood, that kind of thing. But I've never had a true wedge fitting. I've actually even been fitted for a putter, but never a wedge fitting. So Titleist was at my club. I decided to go make an appointment. I went. I had a wonderful experience with the fitter. It took about 45 minutes. But what I want to tell the listeners, if you're a golfer and you've considered getting a wedge fitting, or you think you know, I was actually educated that I don't really know a whole lot, or at least what I thought I knew was very wrong, and therefore I was likely making poor decisions in my wedge selection. It was an interesting thing. I actually walked up. I have a pitching wedge. I have a 52 degree, a 56 degree, and a 60. And before I hit a golf shot, the guy goes, "Let me look at your clubs and see if I can tell you what your miss is with every club, with the wedges." And I said, okay, let's do it. What did he do? Well, he told me exactly what all of my misses were with each one of those wedges. And so then we started. What they do is they start you by filling your gaps. So I started with the pitching wedge, and I hit the pitching wedge. I'm hitting on a TrackMan, so it's giving me my carry distances, my speed, all that stuff. And basically found that we had about a 20-yard gap, a comfortable 20-yard gap between my pitching wedge and my 52. Then I hit the 52, and we found another gap between that and the 56. So once they get the gapping straight, okay, then they start looking at I went to the short game range, and I started chipping, and I hit shots out of the bunker. It was a very good experience. It was 45 minutes. I learned a lot. And actually, one of the biggest things I learned that I want to educate the listener on, if you have wedges, I always thought that the higher the bounce, right, the bounce number. Oh, so he asked me, "Did you buy your wedges straight off the rack?" And I said, "No, I would never do that. Why would any? I don't ever buy golf clubs off the rack. And by the way, I don't think you should either. Even if you're a 20 handicapper, you should never buy golf clubs off the rack. I don't believe in that whatsoever. If you're a 20 handicapper, you need it more than probably the 3 handicapper. Get fitted." But anyway, I said, no, I did not do that. I went to Titleist.com, and I just went through the club selection process where they ask you questions and you tell them what. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, well, that's not great, okay? It's okay, but it's not great." Well, I always thought that the higher the bounce number, that the better it was for someone like me who I would consider myself kind of a digger. So like I make big divots, I dig into it a little bit. So I thought the higher the bounce, the more it would help me not dig, and it would like bounce through the turf a little easier. Well, what he tells me is that's actually exact opposite. That if you're a digger, you need a higher number, and that it lessens how much you dig. So then when we started tweaking the clubs, It was crazy. So anyway, I had a really good wedge fitting experience, and I just wanted to share that for those of you who play real golf. And I'm an 8.5 handicap. So, but I think if you're anything from a scratch to a 15, you should go get a wedge fitting. Try that out. Very interesting. So I ended up getting a 50, a 54, and a 58 with very different bounce numbers than what I had in the. I'm sorry, not a 58, a 60. I got a 50, a 54, and a 60 is where I ended up going, moving from a 52, a 56, and a 60. So very, very educational. Get fitted if you really want to get better at golf. The clubs do matter.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think with the fitting, as far as that's concerned, good info there, by the way.
Thank
And
you.
I will say, when we were having this conversation earlier this week, I was like, wow, I didn't really know all that much went into wedges. Like, I just got a wedge,
Yeah.
played it.
Well,
I mean,
actually, we have a
obviously
question. We have a question right now on YouTube. How should you buy new clubs? This is a real question. I am new to playing. That's a great question. You know, one of the things I'm very happy about that Tour Junkies has done in the last 4 years, we've had a number of people tell us that they actually got into playing golf from listening to our show. Either they never played and now they're interested just because we talk about it a lot, or they used to play, they put it down, and now they're kind of reignited. I love that. That's freaking awesome. I love the game of golf. I know Pat does too. It's done a lot for me and my family. I freaking love it. So if you want to buy new clubs, if you're a beginner and you want to buy new clubs, I'll say this. I wouldn't spend a ton of money for sure. You don't need to buy the nicest things money can buy, but I do recommend a fitting. I guess there are definitely good fitters and probably great fitters. I think the PGA Tour Superstore has some solid fitters if you have one of those nearby. Like going to like Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that is probably not ideal. I would go to an exclusive, specific golf.
Yeah, I would
store.
go to more like an Edwin Watts or something like that. Those are going to be they're going to have at least somebody in there that's, because Edwin Watts employs a lot of pros actually, because they may do double duty at Edwin Watts and then a course or something like that. But I think you definitely got to get fitted. It is key. Don't just buy them off the rack like you mentioned. There's a lot that goes into it. I mean, when it comes to your particular swing, regardless of whether or not you're a really good player or a not so great player, being fitted is going to help your game, because the irons, the driver, everything is going to be tailored to how you swing right then. And then as you get better, they're going to kind of look at that as well. So I think that it's just key, and no matter where you are, I'm sure there's going to be something close, like an Edwin Watts or whatever. But and then public courses too, private courses, public courses, whatever. They all have fitting events. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a private course.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if there's a public course near you, subscribe to their emails or something, and they'll tell you, we've got the Titleist people out here coming sometime, or we've got the TaylorMade people, or they may have a day where there's like TaylorMade, Titleist, Callaway, all of them are out there. So I think that's one thing you look for but definitely just put a little more into it than just walking into Dick's Sporting Goods or wherever and saying, okay, these irons look good and they're my price range, so I'm going to go and just buy them. It's just, you're not doing yourself any favors by doing that. Now, I do think you're getting into the weeds a little bit if you do like David and you get a putter fitting. I think that's a little bit too much, but I'm okay. Like I'm all right with like just getting a normal putter off the rack.
Do you remember why I got the putter fitting?
Yeah, because you were at PXG, Mr. Highfalutin guy.
It was the only thing I could afford.
So,
the same guy that asked about that said he has a PGA Tour store and an Edwin Watts and a PXG near him. I would not go to PXG. If you're just starting out, just don't.
Yeah, you may. Don't. Yeah, if you're close. Well, yeah. Not many people have a PXG near them, so you must be out in Arizona.
Do the just don't buy the most expensive clubs for sure. I just don't do. And also I would say go somewhere where they have a TrackMan or a Flight Scope, or something that's reliable. If you're just looking at some hack job on like the Dick's radar thing is such a crock. Like I've walked into Dick's just like messing around and hit a 7-iron, and the thing's telling me I'm hitting it like 220. They're so juiced and stupid that it's just not worth. And those guys don't know what they're talking about. Don't do that. But yeah, if you want to be better at it, invest in the fitting, and then buy some decent clubs. They don't have to be top of the line. Buy some decent clubs, and then invest in lessons. Above all, take some lessons. You don't take a bunch of them, but take some lessons. All right, that's my spiel there. Pat, why don't you hit us with the run portion of tonight's podcast? What is our topic for this evening?
We're just going to talk about the National Football League,
Ooh,
the NFL.
Because that's what everybody really wants to hear about anyway these days.
As we are now finishing up week 6, by the way, here's my initial observation. One, what with the Cowboys? I feel like they should be way better than they are. They pretty much suck. They just lost to the Jets. By the way, Jets and Sam Darnold are so much better than, they actually, I think he's a good quarterback. And so I do like some Jets. I like some Jets with Sam Darnold. But the Cowboys are always polarizing to me. And I don't think Jason Garrett's a very good coach. I'm just not a big fan of his. And I don't understand why they continue to stay with him. And look, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm just saying, I don't know if you're a Cowboys fan, like, what are you thinking out there? Like, you should be contending for Super Bowls every single year, and they just don't. And it's like, look, I'm a Falcons fan. I appreciate 2016. Now, look, I think that was our window. That was it.
Well, yeah, 28-3 of the half is what I would consider a wide ass window.
Yeah, the window shut.
It was a big old window.
Like, I'm gonna be dead. I'm not.
The window slammed on our fingers while we were trying to.
Yeah. Like we're literally grabbing the trophy.
Here's a question already being asked: do we think Dan Quinn should be fired during the season or at the end of the season? I don't think an option is not fired at all. I think he should be fired.
I think he should be fired, and I'm okay if they do it during the season. If you look at the assistants that he has, and I can't name them, but I think he's got 3 assistants that have head coaching experience. So just go ahead and get rid of them, and let's just whatever.
Yeah, I think you go ahead and cut the cord. He's not doing us any good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in business, you hire slow and you fire fast. I mean, you might as well do the same thing here. Fire him, see if it gives the team a shot in the arm with somebody, and that way you kind of get a decent sample size of who you have behind him that's already here to see what they can do. Maybe they end up turning the whole thing around, and you think to yourself, maybe we keep this guy on and have him coach next season, or maybe he continues to do the same bull and we just hire somebody fresh. I say go ahead and do it as well. I will say this is interesting. I was listening to a podcast a couple weeks ago, and they had this guy named Warren Sharp, who's a brilliant football mind. He's on Twitter. There's probably a lot of you that know who he is, but I guess he started out, he's some like data engineer, data analyst, or some really, really smart guy way over my head. And basically he has a consulting company for NFL teams, and he consults like 9 or 10 NFL teams, and with just data and analytics and stuff. And he was talking about all the things wrong with the NFL. And a couple of big key takeaways that I got from him are, number one, he's like, the NFL is 100% a passing league. No matter how old school your coach is, no matter how good your running back and offensive line are, no matter how badly you want to establish the run and you think that's the cool thing to do, it is no longer effective based on data. And the most effective thing you can do is pass the football. Now, it doesn't mean the run is obsolete, but it does mean that you should do it fewer than you probably were doing it 10 years ago. So he talked a lot about teams that make, or he talked a lot about that. He talked about how more teams should go for it on 4th down. He talked about how the most highly effective play on 4th down is a QB sneak, and that more teams need to get better at it. Quarterbacks need to get better at it. He talked about going.
You're saying 4th and 1.
4th and 1, yeah. But he also talked about going for it more often on 4th down. But the thing that really hit me, and I guess this is just. This guy was so smart, I just believe everything he's saying. He's like, the number one thing that makes a difference with a team is a coach. And people think that by the time they get to the professional level, see, he was like, we put all this weight in a coach in college because we still look at these guys as young kids and as like moldable. But then you think when they're a professional, now they're getting paid to do it, that they've just arrived and the coach is more of a babysitter or a manager. And he's like, that's actually not the case. Like, the head coach and the decisions that they make and the plays that they call and the coordinators and the schemes that they run make a bigger difference than you can possibly imagine. And if you look at the Falcons, they are 100% that. Like, all the talent on the field, we can talk about the talent on offense, that we've had for years. Like, not just now, but when it was Julio and Roddy White and Tony Gonzalez. And I mean, we have had some stupidly talented offenses with horrible offensive coaching schemes and play calling.
Except the 1 year.
Except the 1 year. And like Warren Sharp talked about, like, he's like, man, one of the dumbest things that NFL coaches do that drive me nuts is they run on first down. Like 60, 70% of the time, they run on first down. They get behind the sticks. And then by the time it's third down, it's an obvious passing situation. The draw goes out the window. Everything goes out the window. It's not 3rd and 2. It's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. And it just makes all the sense to me in the world. And he's talking to me, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is the freaking Falcons. So clearly one of the teams he's not consulting with is the Falcons, because that's exactly what we do. Drives me nuts.
No, I'm in total agreement there. Outside of that, I don't know.
I'm sick of the PC shit in the NFL. I'm sick of it altogether. Like, it just drives me nuts.
Like what PC shit? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, you got like the freaking. I mean, you've had it for a while, and now it's just kind of the Redskins thing, and then you've got the Braves now. And I was a '90s Braves fan. I'm not a Braves fan now.
Oh God, the Braves whole deal talking about the tomahawk chop. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I just can't even. I can't. I'm not a Braves fan now because I was a Braves fan in the 90s, so I literally couldn't give two. In fact, I love watching the world burn and Braves fans lose it every fall. But as a Braves fan growing up in the 90s and the nostalgia that I had, I've probably been to 50 Braves games in my life. I was also a Florida State fan in the 90s. I saw Deion Sanders play for Florida State. I've been in Florida State games where they did the chop. I was there when Deion brought it to Atlanta in the 90s. Like, give me a freaking break, man. Like, I'm so sick of this shit with the whole PC bull. Like, I just can't. I can't stand it. And the NFL just caters to all of it too. I mean, it just drives me nuts. But
yeah, I'm totally with you there. We could go on and on about that, but I don't really have any other NFL observations. I think the fantasy teams have been weird this year. Like, I think certain players have. It's just been a kind of a weird year so far when it comes to fantasy. Like you see, like Russell Wilson's going nuts. I mean, everybody expected Mahomes to go nuts, but I don't know about Russell Wilson.
He'll do it. Hey, here's a question: Will the Patriots lose a game?
I mean, you look at their division; they're not going to lose a game in their division.
I mean, I'm talking even in the playoffs. Like, are they going to lose a game at all before next season?
I don't see them. I think the only teams that are set up to maybe compete with them are obviously the Chiefs, who've been okay.
Who've just gotten beat.
Yeah, but I think they're still set up to be able to beat the Patriots. Yeah. Outside of that, I don't know who else is really set up to beat them. I just don't see it. That's where coaching too. You talk about coaching. Yeah. I mean, there's just nobody that can match what they do as far as coaching, leadership, all that kind of stuff is concerned. Everybody falls in line. The fact they had Antonio Brown come in was crazy to me, and it's funny because he ends up scoring a touchdown in the one game he plays for them, and then they quickly got rid of him, which is what they should have done. No, I don't see them losing a game, as I don't see.
Atlanta winning a game? Yeah,
I don't know if Atlanta's going to win another game.
I don't see the Patriots getting beat either. I 3 weeks into the season, I thought the Chiefs could beat them, and now that I watch them play a little bit, I mean, the Chiefs' defense
they got some issues on defense.
Not good. Yeah, it's just not good. So I think the Patriots go 19-0, and I for one would like to see it. Actually, would like to see that. All right, man. This is a good one. We will be back next week. I believe it is. What's next week? Let's look. No, yeah, next week is the Zozo Championship in Japan. Don't do that again.
Okay.
But we'll be back for that one. Also, we've got an incredible interview coming out this week. I teased it in the intro, but you're not going to want to miss it. Pat is also hopefully going to pay Comcast to improve his internet before we get back next week, and life will be good. Thank you guys. Hope you have a great week. May your screens be green. See ya.
Oh,